perfect.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Pet moments are beautiful unless you have allergies. Flonase is the first and only nasal spray approved to relieve both itchy, watery eyes and congestion. No other nasal allergy spray can say that. Go ahead, embrace those beautiful moments. Flonase changes everything.
Your brain changes as you get older, but Prevagen helps your brain with an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember.
What body aches? What knee pain? What sore elbow? Advil Liquid Gels make pain a distant memory. Nothing works faster, stronger, or longer. What? Pain. Advil.
I've got allergies, and I'm doing just fine.
Claritin provides 24-hour relief of symptoms that can be triggered by over 200 allergens.
Yeah, over 200 allergens with Claritin. My allergies don't come between me and victory. Live Claritin Clear.
Would you like to be a Publishers Clearinghouse winner next month?
Are you serious?
You could win $2 million plus $10,000 a month for life and a new car. Go to PCH.com and enter now. June 30th, you could win it all.
I gotta tell you, it bothered me a lot, having to go to the bathroom so much. That was before UrinaZinc, with the ingredients in the special ProFlow formula that promotes reduced urinary frequency. UrinaZinc, with the special ProFlow formula.
I have asthma, one of many pieces in my life. So when my asthma symptoms kept coming back on my long-term control medicine, I talked to my doctor and found a missing piece in my asthma treatment with Brio.
Once daily Brio prevents asthma symptoms. Brio's for adults with asthma not well controlled on a long-term asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Brio won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Brio opens up airways to help improve breathing for a full 24 hours. Brio contains a type of medicine that increases the risk of death from asthma problems and may increase the risk of hospitalization in children and adolescents. Brio is not for people whose asthma is well controlled on a long-term asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Once your asthma is well controlled, your doctor will decide if you can stop Brio and prescribe a different asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Do not take Brio more than prescribed. See your doctor if your asthma does not improve or gets worse.
Ask your doctor if 24-hour Brio could be a missing piece for you. See if you're eligible for 12 months free at mybrio.com.
Coming up next at 6, a couple talks about their experiences with a woman who was posing as a doctor in Bernie. Also a look at the damage from those strong overnight storms. And Adam Caskey is going to tell you if we can expect any more rain next at 6.
Finally tonight here, America Strong. The mother and former Marine taking home America's first gold medal at the Invictus Games. Revealing to us today her hidden inspiration. Bob Woodruff with a champion.
Sarah Rudder, not letting anything slow her down.
Rudder beginning to pull away a little bit. At the tape, it will be Rudder.
Representing the U.S., she's won 7 medals, including the team's first gold. A retired Marine Lance Corporal, Sarah was at the Pentagon on September 11th and aided in the rescue missions when her left ankle was crushed by debris. 5 surgeries, years of pain. She decided to amputate her leg. Tonight, showing us all how to get back up.
Tell me about this. Right here.
Batwoman, Superwoman, and Wonder Woman. Superwoman is one of the strongest women I know, and to know that a woman is known for her strength, I want to be known for that as well. We're putting our heart and soul out on the line for our country, just like we do in battle, and we're here to represent.
We salute Sarah tonight. Bob, thank you. The Invictus Games tonight on ESPN2, and I hope to see you right back here tomorrow night. Good night.
Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news start right now.
The fire has been ruled as incendiary. This means this fire was a criminal act.
New developments today in the deadly West Fertilizer plant explosion. What happens now that the fire that caused it was ruled to be intentionally set?
And neighborhoods in Wilson County dealing with damage after overnight storms, how the community is coming together to clean it all up.
And will we see any more storms in our area again soon? Meteorologist Adam Caskey has your Weather Authority forecast.
Those stories and much more ahead. But first at 6, a woman claiming to be a doctor in Bernie despite the closed sign on her front door and despite being investigated by Bernie police is still open for business.
Our Alex Schreck spoke with one of her former patients who filed the initial complaint and says she spent $15,000 on treatment.
A Chicago doctor alleges a Bernie woman who claims to be a doctor stole her name and DEA number to treat a Castle Hills patient, Ann Hollister, for cancer.
And unfortunately, when you're stage 4, traditional chemo is not very effective. 75% of us die within 5 years.
Bernie police searched Hope for Life Alternative Treatment Center on May 6. Police said Dr. Katinka Hunter is the person in question. Bernie Police Chief Jim Kohler tells me police are speaking with Hunter's prior patients and working on additional evidence. But Hollister said she wants to see Hunter stopped immediately.
How many patients does she get to harm or injure before someone shuts her down? She infected my Mediport. I had to have it removed. I had to have a PICC line put in. I mean, I could have died from that.
We came up to Bernie to do a little door knocking to speak with Kat Hunter to try to get her side of the story. While we were here, we spoke with a woman who identified herself as a patient, and around back,
we even saw a woman wearing medical scrubs sprint to the back door as we set our cameras up.
How she is still in business is beyond me.
Alex Schreck, KSAT 12 News.
Meantime, 8 children found abused, 2 of them chained up in a Bexar County backyard, will remain in CPS custody for now. That was the result of mandatory hearings today after the state took custody of the children late last month. A neighbor reported hearing the 2 toddlers crying in the backyard on the 8100 block of Chipping. 6 other children were found inside the home. 3 people have been arrested in this case. Bexar County investigators saying that Pachuca Phillips was supposed to be caring for the children. Cheryl Reed, the mother of the children found inside, also now charged. And then this morning, DeAndre Dortch turned himself in. The father of the children found tied up remains in California, but had an attorney representing him at today's hearing.
Didn't have any clue as to what was going on. And so this is all news to him, just like it is to everybody else.
Hearing is set for June.
New at 6, it was a day off work for some people living in Wilson County near Lavernia, but they spent it cleaning up the mess left behind by this morning's strong thunderstorms. As Pilar Arias reports, it's been a joint effort on one neighborhood street.
Here on Great Oaks Boulevard, neighbors have come together to pick up the pieces tossed about by this early morning storm captured on cell phone video.
All of a sudden, you could see the lightning come up, and then that's when you saw the trees all falling down.
As Lynette Cudworth and others go home by home down their block, they notice tons of downed trees, vehicle, and structure damage.
You couldn't ask for better neighbors out here.
We looked at the radar and we were in a red glob. Elizabeth Fiskus says the storm was fast and furious, and she acted quickly for the safety of her family.
It was raining really bad. Next thing we know, it started hailing. We looked outside, out the windows. We got all our kids out of our room, put them in the hallway, and, closed all the doors.
Although people who live out here say they felt like a tornado rolled through, the National Weather Service only confirmed a severe thunderstorm with strong winds. Many say they haven't seen such a powerful storm since they've lived out here. One woman even lost a group of chickens that were living in this coop. Although they spent hours cleaning up the mess, they're all grateful to have each other and homes they can still live in. Pilar Arias, KSAT 12 News.
New at 6, the Guadalupe River back open once again for tubers. The river was closed back on April 22nd when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers had to increase the release rate of water from Canyon Dam. That release rate has now been reduced, and all recreational activities can now resume on the river within the city limits of New Braunfels. However, New Braunfels police want to remind all river goers to still be cautious in the waterways.
Time saver traffic right now. I want to show you a big backup. Basically, all of I-35 through downtown has been closed because they're working on a construction project. That means that 35 northbound people are getting off at McCullough, and basically it's also closed over towards 37 and 281. It's causing backups on 35, backups on I-10. Again, what we're basically saying is all of I-35 through downtown from McCullough to basically 37, 281 closed right now for construction. A project underway, and that's causing some traffic headaches right now. Well, some big developments today in the deadly West Fertilizer plant explosion that happened 3 years ago. Authorities say the fire that caused it was a criminal act. KPRC's Jace Larson in West with the latest.
This is where that blast happened. You can see that cross just across the road there. That's remembering the 15 people who died in that explosion. We've learned that there is a federal grand jury that's subpoenaing people in this case. We sat down with the head of the ATF in Houston, who gave us new details about this investigation. The announcement that all of this was caused by arson is backed up by scientific evidence, according to ATF Special Agent in Charge Rob Elder.
Do you know who did this?
We do not. But there are still many questions. What specific evidence do ATF agents have? They tell us they know the exact place in the fertilizer facility where the fire started.
You know that it actually started in the seed room, so the person who started this was in the seed room.
They had to be in the seed room, yes.
But he won't say what specifically was used to light the flame. He says investigators have ruled out electricity, someone smoking, natural causes, and even a much talked about golf cart. 15 people died in the fire and blast that happened more than 3 years ago. Channel 2 has now confirmed that a grand jury is being used to gather information.
We have brought witnesses before the grand jury. Yes.
Are there still more that you hope to bring?
There are still more hopefully to bring, yes.
Elder says he knows that solving this case will not be easy.
Every now and then you like to say you're going to get lucky, so we hope we're going to get lucky, but we're going to keep trying.
There is a $52,000 reward for anyone who has information about this case. You can call Crime Stoppers if you have that information. In West, Jace Larson, KSAT 12 News.
A proper headstone now in place at the gravesite of a baby found dead at a recycling plant 3 years ago. How a special ceremony held today helped to raise awareness for other tragic cases.
And a man who's played a big role in the San Antonio economy retiring after nearly 30 years on the job. How Mario Hernandez helped the city grow and diversify. Up next.
But first, making headlines around the state, federal investigators say a West Texas prison bus crash that killed 2 guards and 8 inmates was caused by the bus hitting a damaged highway guardrail. The National Transportation Safety Board releasing its report today, saying in January of last year, the bus lost control before hitting the guardrail along a bridge on I-20 west of Odessa. The bus fell about 20 feet before hitting a Union Pacific freight train that was passing beneath the highway. Icy road conditions had earlier caused other wrecks in the area, including one that damaged that guardrail.
Well, after giving up his bid for the White House, Ted Cruz running for the Senate again. Cruz officially filed his paperwork today. This may put to rest speculation he would step aside to prepare for another presidential run in 2020. Some strategists believe Cruz would have been wise to skip a Senate re-election campaign in 2018 and instead focus on his presidential ambitions. Cruz's decision, though, comes as he returns to Capitol Hill this week for the first time since dropping out of the race.
Discover great.
Some wild weather overnight responsible for power outages, fires, and lots of trouble on the roadways. Josh Skurnick reports in some places the water rose so fast it caught some people completely off guard.
SAPD wasn't flooded with calls, but those they had, like this 3:30 a.m. house fire in the 6400 block of North Flores, they almost didn't need the hose. The elements so intense, the chief tells us they had to hunker down to let the storm pass before they could figure out the damage and cause.
I mean, as you can see from our weather map, it's actually putting us right into the midst of this current cell right.
From harrowing driving conditions on Loop 410 to people trapped in their park at Vista del Norte neighborhood behind an iron gate due to north side power outages. 8,000 homes and businesses left in the dark in the greater San Antonio area. From 3 a.m. to dawn, we got drenched. In some places, the flooding was so bad and so quick, this became a detour, but not before 2 cars got stuck on General Hudnell Drive at Couples Road. The water just kept rising.
But it's scary, it's scary.
Blanca Escobar's restaurant overlooks the New River. Mopping up her place this morning.
And the kitchen too.
She says it was like this 5 years ago. History repeating itself.
One more car is inside. Yes.
In South Texas, when it rains, it more than pours. Josh Skurnick, KSAT 12 News.
Amazing seeing that vehicle underwater there. All right, live look outside, 87 degrees, a few wispy clouds out there. So when's our next rain chances? Let's check in with Adam.
Well, tomorrow is really our next shot at some rainfall. The aquifer, though, it got a nice little boost and probably still rising as well. But the 24-hour comparison, 9 a.m. to 9 a.m., up almost a foot, and that's still above average for this time of year. As for the pollen count, mold jumped as well. That's another usual result of rainfall. It's back in the high range. Grass, meanwhile, on the low end. We'll talk more about those rain chances for tomorrow and the next 7 days coming up.
We didn't really need alarm clocks this morning.
No, thunder will do that for you.
Yeah, for a couple of hours. Yeah. Yeah, that was a snooze button every time.
That's going to say. I think I saw a picture tweeted out today of Osterhage with his tie undone, the sleeves rolled up, standing in front of the weather lab, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's the way he always rolls in every morning. Whenever I stay late and I see him when we cross paths, oh, yeah, he's got
well,
that
I think
look.
he went right on the air like that because of the storm.
No, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah, it's great. But we did get some good rainfall out of it. 4 inches estimated by radar in parts of Bexar County, especially in downtown San Antonio, right along Highway 90 and then 87, just bisecting Bexar County. Unfortunately, some large hail as well in Lavernia, particularly. We'll show you that coming right up in a moment here. First, let's take a look at the actual rainfall totals. I'll show you that in one moment. First of all, at the airport, 86/100ths of an inch. Notice that rainfall total there. We had just under an inch of rainfall at the airport, but as I mentioned before, much higher amounts elsewhere. But this is the official report from the airport. But let's take a look at some of the other area rain gauges, and notice that the main alleyway for the rain was from the hill country all the way down into Bexar County here, and that's where the rain developed. It started up in the hill country, and then it pushed down to the southeast and really blossomed, and that's where you see the yellows and the oranges. That indicates about 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. That's at least estimated by the radar. But the rain gauges aren't everywhere. The official rain gauges aren't everywhere. But where they are, Kerrville 1.74, New Braunfels about 1/3 of an inch, and Gonzales about 1/2 inch. Coming up later on next half hour, we'll show you some of the National Weather Service observers and their measurements from the rainfall. So this is a look at the hail in Lavernia earlier this morning from my Facebook friend. Looks to be about ping pong to golf ball size. I'm not sure exactly how big her hands are, but it looks like about ping pong ball to golf ball size hail. And that unfortunately is damaging size hail. 87 degrees for the high temperature. That's 1 degree above average. The record, 100 degrees, set back in 1967. And the maximum wind gust about 40 miles per hour as those storms rolled through. Still in the 80s. One exception is Divine, 92 degrees, Pleasanton at 90, Comfort Year 83, Rio Medina 87, along with Seguin and New Braunfels now at 88. Wider view shows these dew points well into the 70s in some locations. They're up there. You notice the thick humidity because we're at that critical level of 70 degrees. 60s when you start noticing it. 70 and up, that's when it gets to the oppressive levels, and that's when you really feel it first thing when you step outside. Look at Kerrville, dew point is 73. Here in San Antonio, 70. Beeville, Corpus, Gonzales, 71 degree dew points, and that of course makes it feel a little bit hotter outside than the actual air temperature. It feels like we're in the low to mid 90s. I just showed you the actual air temperatures in the 80s, but it feels like we're in the 90s because of that humidity. So the heat index right now is 92 degrees in San Antonio. Of course, that's going to be dropping here as the sun goes down and the temperatures drop. Cold front just off to our north. Severe thunderstorm watch west of Dallas and north of San Angelo at this time. That's until 11 p.m. That cold front's going to drop into South Texas and San Antonio come tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. And I think that'll be enough to stir up the atmosphere and trigger more showers and thunderstorms. And there is a slight chance of a stray severe storm or two. But overall, we're in just more of an active weather pattern. Last week, we had the big bump in the upper level flow. This week, we have the big counterclockwise circulation, and we don't have that big blue H over us. In turn, we have kind of what we refer to as a dirty flow. We get these impulses coming in periodically, and they're hard to time out, but they're coming in from the west, and that's going to be the case again for really the next 7 days. One little break in storm chances, I think, will be Saturday. Lower 70s tonight, becoming muggy out there. It's 72 degrees in the morning with the clouds, and by noon tomorrow, some sunshine, a 20% chance of a storm at noon, rising to about 30 to 40% as we go into the evening hours. And even tomorrow night, we can't rule out a few thunderstorms tomorrow night into the Friday morning commute. High temperatures aren't going to change much. Rain chances aren't going to change much except on Saturday when we drop them a little bit. Otherwise, highs, mid-upper 80s, muggy, and daily storm chances, especially in the afternoons.
Keeping things nice and exciting this week.
It's active.
And muggy.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
Still much more ahead on KSAT 12's 6 o'clock news.
Including a device designed to help with wireless connectivity around the house. How it can boost your signal and provide for much better streaming.
And after losing more than $50 million over an 8-year period, what does the future hold for the United States Postal Service? How the country's lawmakers are tackling that issue.
And a new educational park is being built along the Mission Reach. It'll provide a first-of-its-kind experience in San Antonio. What we can expect from the San Antonio River Foundation's biggest project so far. It's still ahead.
All right, I was...
Legend Key.
He fouled him. Yeah. It was pretty obvious he fouled him.
In the NBA official report, the league now admits again they blew 2 calls for the Spurs in the final seconds of Game 5. It should have been a foul on Steven Adams, not Danny Green on Kevin Durant, and missed the intentional foul by Kawhi Leonard on Russell Westbrook, and that was a difference in the game. The race for safes. Okay, who saw this coming? The Spurs arriving in Oklahoma City at around 4:30 this afternoon and dropping 2 games at home in the Western Conference semifinals, something that hadn't happened all season long until now. Spurs find themselves facing elimination in Game 6 on the road in OKC. In the Greg Popovich era, the Spurs have been in that position 12 times, have walked away only twice with a win, but they did take Game 3 in Oklahoma City, so there is hope. With more what lies ahead for the Spurs, here's our Larry Ramirez live in Oklahoma City.
It's a difficult road, that's for sure, and thank you very much, Greg. We are just outside the Chesapeake Energy Arena in downtown OKC. Where, as you said, the Spurs must win tomorrow night to keep their season alive. Kawhi Leonard said he is surprised they're facing elimination and that the goal is to play until June. You know, Spurs fans feel the exact same way. Teams that go up 3-2 in a best-of-7 playoff series win 82% of the time. The odds are clearly against the Spurs, but if any team has what it takes to come back and win, you'd have to put Pop and the Spurs right at the top of that list. Now, it's all about executing better than OKC with some desperation as well.
You know, with a chip on our shoulder, and, you know, if you want to be a championship team, you have to win on the road. As simple as that. So they won one here in our building. We have to go in their building and win one to, you know, force another game. So it's not over by any means.
We all have to put pressure on ourselves, you know, just got to go out there and, you know, play like it's our lives, you know, on the line, and, you know, go compete at a very high level and, you know, do anything you have to do to, you know, get the win. You just got to play through it, and, you know, and unfortunately every call doesn't get called throughout the whole game, and, you know, we needed that one, but just got to keep rolling.
Nothing more than to end this series tomorrow night and avoid the dreaded Game 7. Of course, the Spurs want to force a Game 7. David Sears is with the Thunder, and he has more.
It was Russell Westbrook night for the Thunder. In the first half, he only had 14, but in the second half, he asserted himself and finished with 35, and he was huge down the stretch to help the Thunder get this Game 5 victory.
I got no words for him, man. He's just amazing. I'm saying this every time. He's making himself better, and he's making everybody else better, and he's just leading this team really well, and he's just going out there and just playing his best basketball right now.
Russell playing unbelievable, man. Crazy game, man. He had a couple tough shots. You know, he fought through adversity. You know, it wasn't going his way there for a second, but, you know, kept fighting, kept finding down the stretch. You know, I got a couple calls and, you know, a couple plays and went his way, and, you know, fought through it.
No science behind it, really. He's just, can't really explain it, just swinging at the knees. He was very aggressive, very aggressive. He was everywhere tonight. Rebound, making plays. He played like he always played, extremely hard. And just left it all out there.
As great as Westbrook was, a lot of it was defense and desire. Matter of fact, they out-rebounded the Spurs 54-36. Big key to that Game 5 win. With the Thunder, David Sears, KSAT 12 Sports.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Larry. Here's a look at the schedule. Tomorrow, OKC, 7:30. Back home in San Antonio, we hope for a Game 7. Sunday at 7 p.m. Good luck. Go Spurs, go.
Let's take the asterisk off that Game 7. We want it to happen.
I would love to do that, yes.
Thanks, Greg. Still ahead at 6, Volkswagen executives catching a small break. What an internal investigation has revealed and why they still have a long road ahead of them.
And the gravesite of a baby dubbed Baby Noel finally has a proper headstone 2 years after burial. How the community came together to give this baby a loving resting place. It's next at 6.
Tonight at 10.
A proper headstone now in place at the gravesite of a baby found dead in a duffel bag at an Eastside recycling plant in 2013. Mourners gathered today to pay their respects to Baby Noel. who was buried more than 2 years ago. But as Garrett Berger found, the service wasn't just for this child.
I tell you solemnly, anyone who does not welcome the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter into it.
For 2 years, baby Noel lay with a simple marker. The woman who took on his burial, Pamela Allen, gathered enough to lay him to rest, but no more.
We did not have the money to buy him a headstone.
As it turned out, they wouldn't need the money. It started with one woman's chance discovery of a headstone in her yard, which she offered for Noel. The story of her generosity prompted another's through the gift of a newer stone and an engraving.
It just called out to me. I have no answer.
But today wasn't just about baby Noel. Instead, it became a reminder that there are many other children with tragic stories.
There are children that are suffering from a hidden epidemic of child abuse and neglect.
Less than 2 miles from Noel's grave, the home where sheriff's deputies just weeks ago found 2 children chained and tied in the yard. And a year ago today, baby Christian was found dead by the side of the road.
But it is so connected because it comes back to these babies who did not have a voice.
So Pastor Robles urged the mourners to use theirs.
We need to be bold and we need to be able to speak up, stand and speak when we hear a cry.
And maybe keep any more children from going before their time.
Everybody wave to Noel. Bye.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Very touching ceremony there. The man responsible for recruiting more than 400 companies to San Antonio and nearly 100,000 jobs is now retiring at the end of June. Mario Hernandez has been the president of the San Antonio Economic Development Foundation since 1990. Jesse Degollado reports Hernandez is proud of helping to grow and to diversify San Antonio's economy.
Now employing some 7,000 people, far more than the 2,000 initially hired, these jobs represent the biggest prize of Mario Hernandez's career.
Well, from an economic development project standpoint, it has to be Toyota.
Still in his office, the shovel he used at its groundbreaking after San Antonio landed the auto giant in 2003. Yet when Hernandez began at the Economic Development Foundation in 1984,
you would make phone calls to companies on the East Coast or West Coast and literally have to say San Antonio, Texas, and explain where you were.
My, how times have changed.
Now, corporate America and really the world, they think of San Antonio.
Once known for its tourism and military bases, San Antonio is no longer the city it once was. These are just some of the corporations that have moved or expanded their operations in San Antonio since the 1990s, generating billions in payroll.
These major companies that invested in San Antonio brought thousands of jobs, just simply didn't exist.
He says whoever takes the helm should remember that economic development is not growth for the sake of growth.
It is really a way to improve the quality of life.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
And Hernandez says the Great Recession was the only time that San Antonio lost jobs and was unable to create new ones, but nothing as bad as the rest of the nation.